This is Robin with Weight Loss Apocalypse. This is a clip from a session I recorded this morning. This is a client I've been working with over the course of a few months now. She came to me using the HCG diet as a kind of like a bulimic purge. She was starting to binge and could kind of tell that she just couldn't do it anymore. And she found me on YouTube and watched some of my sessions and thought, I need her. She'll help me. So she's made a ton of progress, tons and tons of progress. In fact, I think almost all of our sessions are posted on the Patreon account if you want to watch her progress. Anyway, so in this session, she's talking about the desire to overeat that's still there. The wanting, or the fact that she still wants to overeat at different times, and we're addressing that in this conversation and what that might be. And I talk about the excitement and actual feeling of liberation from dieting and what feels like when you're, binging, and really how good it feels to say F you to the diet. And so if you want to watch the entire session, you're going to need to join Patreon and become a Weight Loss Apocalypse supporter. It's a minimum of $5 donation every month. If you are ready to get shit done and recover and to get freedom back in your life, to be a real person, there's a link below to my website where you can fill in the consult request form. I usually get back to people within the hour. So, all right, enjoy the session. That's a good word. You need to be attentive. You benefit if you're attentive.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna take more practice, and like you said, like it's easy when you're taking a hormone that makes you not hungry, or that just like it does it for you. You don't have to think
You're just
about
not hungry. Yeah, well, when you are hungry, it's exciting. It should feel exciting. Like, oh my God, I get to enjoy food. I get to have choices. I get to the palate. Here's the other part. Again, they found with the digestive studies with dogs and cats and rabbits and humans, is where they really studied this, is when you're excited, your mouth waters. Just being excited to eat improves digestion.
Like Pavlov.
Well, Pavlov is one of the scientists that I'm reading. I'm reading his work. He did way more than that. He studied so much. He's most well known for the ringing of the bell and the mouth watering, what does that tell you about digestion? When you're excited to eat, it works. When you're not, it doesn't. It doesn't. Food in the stomach does not what stimulates gastric release. It's the brain that does it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think, I just need to just get back and I think I was having a little anxiety, towards, oh my gosh, okay, am I hungry? Am I not hungry? And okay, I am hungry, but oh my gosh, now there's all these choices. What do I want all of them, but then what do I have? And, it's just all these. I'm not used to ever having choices, or
what I just heard and what you just said is I'm afraid to feel deprived. That's what I heard. Yeah, I know that's not what you said. But the problem is that you are hungry, you're excited, but you want it all. Yeah, so what if your hunger only allows for some? Poor me, I don't get it all. There's a sense of fear of deprivation in that.
Or it's I just couldn't, how did you decide what, I try to think what.
Okay.
What am I wanting? And then I guess it's hard for
me. Well, you have to know you can always go back. You can always get more. This isn't the end of this isn't the end of your life. It doesn't have to all be eaten all right now.
Right.
Okay, that comes from someone who's...
myself that.
Well, it's a moment where you question your impulse to eat it all right now. You have to stop and question that shit. And you're not. You're still being ridden by it. And no wonder you're not listening, because you don't want to. You literally don't want to listen, because if you listen to your body, you're not going to get it all. And I want it all. So there's an entitlement underneath that.
Yeah.
Why are you so entitled? Go further down. If you tell yourself the truth, you're going to have to stop what you're doing. So there's part of this process is I don't want to have to tell the truth, because then I'll have to have control over myself. Right?
Yeah.
I'll have to be an adult, and I don't want to grow up.
I don't want the responsibility. I don't want to be an adult.
I don't want to be told no.
You're right. I still...
So that's just a sign you're pissed off about the years of being deprived that you did to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So think about, what is it going to be like? And this is something I had to think for myself too, is what will life be like? Because I really enjoyed the binging. It was fun. And again, it's not the binge that's fun. It's the freedom from having to care, worry, think, be responsible in the moment, because you're so vigilant in your religiosity with dieting that it's so liberating to let it go. And that's why binging is so euphoric. It's you're feeling so liberated in the moment to say, fuck you, I don't give a shit that I'm not supposed to eat that. I'm gonna eat it. In fact, I'm gonna eat everything I'm not supposed to eat just to feel free. So it's not the food, it's the actual freedom and the liberation from having to be a responsible person, right? Mm-hmm. That's the all or nothing, because you're so in your religious righteousness that you're inhumane when you're dieting. It's inhumane. There's no balance in the middle, because you can't have that food. That's for slobby people, you know? The stigma of eating for people who are diet religious zealots, you know. So part of that feeling that you had and the entitlement to it is the fact that you don't want to have any boundaries.
Yeah, you're right, and it's kind of with, you know, it goes further in my life too. I mean, like I know, I guess, I've just always been kind of childish, I guess, in my thinking. You know,
Well, that's what happens when you are emotionally immature, but you're also being enabled. So that's part of the problem too, is the enabling effect of dieting, because you're given the diet is the rescuer. It says, we'll fix what you just ruined. You know, and so you can use that to negotiate to get your freedom. It's like the rat in Charlotte's Web at the fair. Smorgasbord, smorgasbord. You know that scene? Where he's at the fair and he's just like making love to a banana peel and he's having so much fun.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have that if you didn't have a diet to fix it for you, to make it all better. And so that dieting enables this immaturity around taking responsibility in those environments. So, and the other thing too is it's also enabling emotional immaturity in how you cope with your reality and stress in reality. Because it makes food, it's like if I have a stress in my life, there's something excited to look forward to, because in those stressful environments, you have an excuse to eat. Again, this isn't conscious. It sounds horrible when I'm speaking about it, doesn't it? It's like, Jesus, so childish.
No, that I would do that all the time. I mean, I think I would do it conscious and unconsciously.
Well, wouldn't that make sense if you're held captive by some religiously zealot type of a restriction with food? Why you'd be super excited there's a stress in your life? Because I now have an excuse to eat and fulfill the first hierarchy of my psychological needs. I'll deal with the damages later because I don't want to deal with life or the damages in the moment. So you black reality out as you go into this food smorgasbord, you know. And the moment it's like, well, you're not hungry. That's what it ends up sounding like. You're not supposed to be eating. You're a piece of shit. You're not hungry. And that's like making the hunger scale your new captor. And that's not the goal, right?
Right. I think, it seems to, like gotten worse as I've gotten older. I think maybe it's because like life.
So you're protesting. You're protesting how sick and tired you are of dieting. That's what that is. It's like a protest. Fuck you. I'm going to eat what the hell I want.
And life gets harder as you get older and
well, bigger issues or more realistic issues. You're more prone to the death of a child. Children not, you have children. You just did that to yourself, Having children does that.
Yeah, and I think I just need to get better at learning how to deal with things by not
hiding,
not revolved around food.
Escaping, repressing, denying. Yeah,
exactly.
But the thing is this: when you are using food as a rescuer, chances are you have a restriction in your back pocket.
Right.
Because there's got to be balance between the damages that is doing. It's kind of like someone who is, a cheater, cheating on their spouse. Okay, they got to have an apology in their back pocket. They got to have an excuse in their back pocket. They got to have a way to keep the marriage together if they get caught. They're not only are they constantly trying to seek an outlet, they're seeking in their mind a reason why it's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're doing the same thing. And your way of cheating is to get your food. But what are you cheating on? What are you cheating on with food?
Myself.
No. Wrong answer.
What am I cheating on with food? I'm cheating on the diet?
Yes. That's the brainwashing. You think it's yourself, but it's not you you're cheating on. You're cheating on your thin supremacy and / the diet religion that supports it.
Yeah.
If you didn't believe in thin supremacy or dieting, would you really need to cheat? Have an excuse. Would you need an excuse?
No, I mean...
So what happens then? What happens? Just follow me. What happens then if you don't need an excuse? What happens to the excitement?
Oh, right. It's not exciting.
At all. It loses its sparkle. It's like, oh, food really isn't that big deal. It kind of sucked when I recovered from the binging aspect. That part was like, oh, it was kind of a letdown because I really got so much out of like, fuck the dieting,
Yeah, see, I haven't really felt like I've like that. Like I haven't really felt like I've been cheating because I really don't believe the freaking industry anymore. And
I know. Well, so now we're dealing with you might have underlying beliefs around health. So that's a lot of times what kind of bubbles up after the body image aspect, the thin supremacy has been surrendered, which is a big deal. In fact, that's massive. What can come up is the beliefs around health and what that is. Can you see how that would be so much quite pervasive and unseen in the background?
Yeah.
Especially since you're, again, this goes back to your, remember, like, I'm a nurse. I should know better. You remember that?
Yeah, but
my response to that was like,
that's kind of hogwash because nurses and,
I know. However, at some point, you thought you were very healthy or thought you knew what health was, and there might be some leftover ties to that. I could be wrong. I'm just here to help you process and say, hey, look at this angle. It could be that. You might still be thinking, I shouldn't be eating that, it's unhealthy. Or, oh my God, I'm doing too much. Even just too much food being unhealthy, which of course it causes toxic reactions. I get that. You drink too much water and you're toxic.
Right, right.
So
I've never